What's going on, Mother Truckers? Welcome to Mutha Trucker News. Email us at muthatruckernews@gmail.com. I usually don't go live, but I thought going live would be great. I want to get into the talking points because there's a lot of drivers that actually don't get to see the video live. And because of that, sometimes we go into this whole live thing all day long and we talk to everybody, and then it gets taken away from the people that are trying to listen to the information. So if anyone is actually jumping on today live, put your comments down below. And we're here with the vice president. Unless that's changed. Is Todd still around, or what's going on? You're
Yeah,
VP, or you got?
Todd's still around. He's doing his
Yeah,
thing, baby.
yeah. I'm teasing. I'm joking. I'm joking. So let's get into this video. Let's talk about some things, and let's get the importance of what's going on, and then I will get into the comments. I am not ignoring you. Okay, so this is a live broadcast here. And thank you, Louis, for being on the show. I saw the trucker shortage debate at F3. Give them a quick highlight of that. Introduce yourself first.
Yeah, I'm Louis Pugh, Executive Vice President of the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, or OOIDA, and it's always good to be on here with you, my friend. I always enjoy being on your show. It's a good show, and I appreciate what you do for trucking, trying to get the right word out there and the truth out there. So we need more people like that in this industry. But yeah, as far as the F3, the driver shortage debate, that all started because we were challenged by Freightways to us against ATA to come debate it. And yes. And so anyway, we showed up. ATA didn't. They never even responded, is my understanding. So unfortunately, another gentleman had to sit in their place, and it was kind of it was, and he's a great guy, and we talked before and after, but it was kind of funny because he said right in the beginning, the first thing was, well, I kind of do agree there isn't much of a shortage. And when we got done, he's like, this was the hardest thing I ever had to debate. And I said, well, it's pretty hard to debate something when the people who perpetuate this myth of driver shortages don't even show you how the data or anything they use to get their driver shortage. So that makes it pretty tough, to debate anything when you don't have the proof of why. It's just what they say. And so yeah, it was good for us. It was fun to do. That F3 thing was really interesting. I've never been anything like that before. Everybody was really nice, but it was really a different kind of crowd, different thing. But it was a good deal. And once again, we proved there's no driver shortage. So there hasn't ever been. There isn't one. And it's just crazy. Again, it's just one of those things that our good friends at the American Trucking Association continue to push to keep wages low and training low and investment in drivers low and to get bullshit legislation passed.
I hear you, man. And you know what? I'm not here to start the fire, but I think I did see somewhere at Freight Waves, that they were saying, hey, debate the trucker shortage, ATA with OOIDA, and we'll even like donate a certain amount of dollar to like a fund, charity fund that they wanted. Was that true? Was there some truth behind that, or were they just playing around with that?
They were going to donate to both, but since ATA didn't show up, they gave money, and I showed up, but we haven't seen money come here yet either. So I'm still waiting on a check for the Mary Jane Scholarship Fund, hoping I don't know whether that was money was supposed to be pending. We both showed or what, but I feel like OOIDA ought to get, or my scholarship fund here at OOIDA for truckers should get something, shouldn't it? I mean, we showed up, we did all the legwork.
I heard that.
I guess when you tell the truth, you don't have any reason to run and hide.
Ooh. So you're seeing it right here. So there is no trucker shortage, sir?
There is no trucker shortage. There never been a trucker shortage since deregulation. Like I said, it's just something that they like to put out there to keep wages down, salaries down, treatment of drivers, all these kind of things. And we know that. And to try to move their agenda on Capitol Hill, which is not a driver friendly legislation.
I hear you. So, we're talking about, these major announcements, OOIDA does a good job of that, through your digital magazine landline, correct?
Digital
And
and print. It's print too.
digital and print. And
Yeah.
so, we were talking off camera, behind the scenes, and you brought up something very interesting. You said that when the FMCSA actually brings up something for public comment, if you don't put it or address things correctly, it actually gets bounced out. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about that? Because for all the truck drivers that are in here, when we put in our comments, we want the FMCSA to read the comments, but what is their format and how are they able to just kind of kick out and not listen to that driver's, email or what have you?
Well, it's pretty simple. We have a platform called fightingfortruckers.com for our members, and you don't even have to be a member. Anybody can use it. And my girlfriend sends in comments on it. But you can reach out and you can send comments to your lawmaker on issues, and we have a quick link there. And yeah, that's it right there, what you have up. And if you go to clip up here on broker transparency, because that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yep, let's
You
click on this
find
one right here.
Yeah, the one with the trucker says we want transparency. Okay. Now, when you scroll down, if you look to your right in the dark blue, that blocks, there's some talking points on the left. There's some links for additional resources or information for you. There's even a link on there for how to file your comments, kind of a comment guide. But on your right in the blue, you can go in there in that big white box there. If you scroll back up just a little bit, that big white box under the header, the subject line, you can put your message right in there. You type a message to FMCSA right there. Now, we use this exact same format for like bills on cars, like the truck parking bill or the bathroom bill or the Got Truckers Act to give truckers overtime. Same format. You go on and you can send a message to your lawmaker, and it looks just like this. But we usually put a pre-typed message in the message box, and then you can go in and edit it or add to it or take away, whatever you want to do. And we've had some members ask on this. We didn't put one in there because, unlike Congress, FMCSA, when you're filing comments, they're looking, and if they start seeing a whole bunch of the exact same comments, like a form letter type thing, they will kick those out. So it's real important that you put your own comments in here. Now, all it has to be, if you're wondering what or you're happy, is just, hey, we support the ruling the FMCSA has proposed. We support the rule. It can be as short as that. Now, if you just say that, they're not going to kick that out, of course, because that's not a form letter by any meaning of the term. So you can do that, but it's really important if you have stories where broker transparency would have helped you, or if a broker made you waive your rights to 371.3 and then they hit you with some chargebacks, but they won't tell you what the chargebacks are because, again, you waived your rate. Or say you're run a load from Ohio to Florida and you ask and they tell you got to come out to California to look at the paperwork or stuff like that. If you got real world stories like that, put them on there. If you're afraid to ask for it because brokers will blacklist you, because that's a big problem, feel free to put that in there. Real world situations, be professional, but how it helps you. If you have examples, it's great to show these examples, why you need this or why this is important to you as a motor carrier. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's real
gotcha.
easy. You fill in that box, then you go down below and you fill in your information and hit send, and they'll have it. And then you can
Gotcha.
actually go on FM or DOT's, I guess FMCSA's website there, or DOT, and you can find the comments. It's a gov reg. I don't have it off the top of my head, but you can go in there and read what other people are putting. Everybody's comments are in there. You can see my comments.
Gotcha. No, gotcha. No. And so it's one of those things where, I'm going to put this out here. I get a lot of comments all the time that says, oh, IDA. How many members you guys got now?
150,000 across the United States and Canada, and a few overseas.
So 150,000, right? And so you're a friend of mine off camera. And so I like to always keep it real with you and with all the listeners that listen, right? So there's nothing there. But I will say that a lot of times I'll have you on and people will say, man, Alex, IDA, hasn't done nothing for us. They just keep the money. They're driving nice cars, or they're not really helping us truck drivers. They're just lobbyists that are just finding a shakedown, and instead of anyone else, they're shaking down the drivers, right? And I would like to say this, if OOIDA did not fight for this and go through the right way, FMCSA would not even think about bringing this up, and so I think there is a need. I do appreciate OOIDA for that. Now, here's the thing: why does it take so dang long? I mean, we know all the issues, right? You guys are over there fighting. Uh, what's the truth? Do they really not care? Are you like is OOIDA or any other person fighting for truck drivers? Truck drivers, are we like mosquitoes to them? Like, are we a annoyance and they just talk to you just because they feel that they have to talk to you? I mean, what is it? What is the temperature of the room over there?
No, I think that, I mean, I would say there was a point in the time where we were more of an annoyance than a partner, a lack of better terms, I guess. I think really where some of this change was under Ray Martinez. He gets a lot of credit when he was administrator of really opening the door, not just to us, but to pretty much all truckers. Got some put listening sessions out there. When we had the whole hours of service reform, I had listening sessions where truckers were, so they could come and do their comments and stuff like that. And I think the agency's changing. I do think that's because of us. I mean, haters are always going to hate, and people that are jealous are going to hate. And there's people out here who don't really understand or get government or get frustrated. And I understand it. It is frustrating when you're out here driving truck and nothing seems to change or takes forever. But that's with everything in government. I mean, and unfortunately, there's so much bureaucracy you have to work through. And,
Mm.
we hear all these people, you need to have strikes, you need to do this. Okay, well, that stuff, that's how OOIDA was kind of founded back in 1973. It was out of shutdowns and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they really weren't that effective.
No, I hear you. No, I hear you. No.
And what we've learned and what OOIDA learned, Todd, Todd's the guy. He built our advocacy program and stuff here. I mean, really, he's the guy. And he'll tell you through the history what we learned is you have to work with these agencies the way they were set up and designed to work for. You don't have to like them. You don't have to like how they operate. But at the
Mm.
end of the day, if you want to get things done, if you want to be a player, you have to be on the field and you have to be playing by their rules and on their field and with their ball. That's just the way it works.
No,
And
I hear you.
and I mean, let's be honest. That's how everything works. That's how businesses work. That's how everything works. And this is how the government works. So you have to be there. If you want to strike and do all the slow roll and some of the stuff that people get mad that we don't usually support, we support everybody's right to do what they want. But the problem is you make people mad around you with the motoring public and different stuff like that, and it doesn't really help anybody. Other than just piss people off.
I
And
hear you.
so,
I hear you.
the
Oh, I
people,
hear you.
you
And
know,
so it's one of those things where I think everybody's on ball with this. Everybody, definitely get to the site right here, right? And I put the links down below before, but definitely get to the site right here. And when you get here, go ahead and click down. You see the one we're fighting for truckers. And if you feel strong about this, that you want broker transparency, hey, the comments right there, that will do it for you, and it'll go straight to them. We need everybody on this. If people are talking about wanting to strike and shut down roads, you know what? You don't got to do that. Everyone just needs to comment on here, because guess what? All the freight brokers are, and everyone else, all the office staff are. So you got to jump in and you got to get this done. Now,
we
here's
we
here.
got, if I may, we
Yes,
got
sir.
way more truckers than what there are brokers. And
That's
if
right.
every freaking trucker, every small business carrier, and get your spouses, whoever else this affects, if everybody would, if you get 100,000 comments or 150,000 comments supporting this, it would be unreal what would happen. See, that's part of the problem that
Mm.
things take so long in Washington, D.C. and trucking, is because unfortunately truckers aren't real good about filling this stuff out. I mean, you see it when you shut down the phones in Washington, D.C. somewhere, or you obliterate them with thousands and thousands and thousands of comments. That's when they start to pay attention and things start to get done quickly or much faster. So, yeah, it's taken 4 years to get to here. We
Wow.
submitted this in 2020, in like May of 2020, when the rates, right when COVID started and the rates went to the toilet. That's when we submitted. And then this got put on the back burner. And we petitioned Fmcsa multiple times after that, keeping on them to come out with this. I mean, I had a meeting with Fmcsa in September, and I told them in September, because they said they were going to release this in October finally, and they kicked this can down the road for 4 years. And I told them myself personally, it would behoove you all very well, whether you're for truckers, against truckers, whatever, get this out. You say all the time you want to hear from drivers and you want to help the drivers. They've been asking for 4 years, and you just continually kick the can down the road. Now, sometimes that's to our advantage. Speed limiters that's gotten kicked the can down the road, and it probably was to our advantage because now that Trump's elected, that's probably going to die.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
but the problem is, it's the trade-off. Sometimes it helps you and sometimes it hurts you. But this is something that's been needing. It's not even like we're asking for new legislation. It's already a regulation. 371.3 is in the green book. It's just a matter is it needs to be enforced. And brokers should not be allowed to force carriers to waive their right to it.
And I think that's the big one, right? Because if we do these, if we have this, and the oversight really is when it comes down to is any regulation that you do with the freight broker transparency. Well, just say this gets done, right? But they don't put anywhere in it that you can't waive that right. Well, they're just going to have these carriers and small owner operators sign another dang waiver and say, "Hey, man, I know this new regulation is out, but here you go, sign it." And I think the big problem is the spot market moves so fast that these carriers and drivers and the ones that are watching the show right now, as we're having this conversation, you're so worried about losing this load that you're signing that paper, that contract so dang fast, and you're not reading through what the heck is going on. You know what I mean?
100%, Alex. I mean, that's it. Most small business carriers are one truck, one trailer guy. They may have a wife, a husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, somebody at home looking at this stuff for them. But you're right, especially in a down market when there's so much pressure already. A good load comes on, it's on there for minutes, if not just seconds. So you don't have a lot of time, and then to go through this, and you're correct and you're signed. And a lot of people don't even read this stuff. And and then I mean, probably 95% of the transactions, there's never a problem. But that 5%, which we hear about all the time here, there's them good old boys down by Cincinnati, that good 3-letter acronym broker that causes everybody problems. I don't know how many times we see a driver delivers a load, there's not a problem, clean bill of health, and then a month later he's getting a $1,000 chargeback because supposedly there's a problem with this load. And when you ask, hey, what was the problem? Well, we don't. You just owe us $1,000 because you don't have a right to see what the paperwork was in the transaction. If everybody did the right thing, we wouldn't need this stuff.
I agree.
And unfortunately, and I'm not saying that there's carriers that do the wrong thing too, but on this, for instance, we know that there are brokers out there, and one of them's a large broker, the number 3 in the country. They do crooked things to truckers all the time, or at least it looks crooked. And, maybe it's not. With, the way I look at it, if you ain't got nothing to hide, why hide it? It'd be to everybody's advantage to show this, but that's fine. If those folks in Cincinnati and other places want to charge truckers a chargeback, then they should have to show why. I mean, do you pay a bill if you don't know what it's for? I mean, who does? It's crazy that that's the way trucking works.
It's one of those things, right? And look, I'm sure there's good people on all sides. Look, every driver that's in here now, I'm sure there's a lot of you that have direct freight, right? But when you can't get direct freight, I'm sure there are some brokers that you work with to try to get back home, right? But at the end of the day, the trust is really lost, and the carriers and the owner operators, somewhere along the line, we have given all the power to the dang freight broker. I mean, okay, like here's the interesting one, right? So we were talking about these freight guards and carrier 411, which, tell me this, all the truck drivers, all the owner operators in here, do you love carrier 411 and their freight guards? Yes or no? Right? Put a up thumbs down, thumb, or a down thumb for that, right? But but you think about this for a second, Louis, right? What if we just all got a freight guard on us? Guess what? They don't have any means to get their shipment anywhere. So it's like, you know what? If we all got freight guards on us, then they would have no business, because freight brokers can't move. Look, and I have friends that are freight brokers that they show me their numbers. And when they say, hey, look, Alex, I only have a few $100 in this for me, and the rest I'm giving to you, I need to take care of my customer. You know what? If it's the truth, then show it. The big problem that I see, and you tell me if this is true right here, is how many times as a truck driver do you hear that from a freight broker and you believe them? And then you go and unload it at the shipper or the customer, and the lumper or somebody in the office doesn't know who you are and gives you the actual rate con and shows that that broker just made 3 times of what you made. That's where the distrust came in. I've never seen a driver that really pocket watched any freight broker when they were treated correctly. I've never seen that, but I get it, right? I get it. But when did that power change? I mean, seriously, Louis, like, you've been in the business a long time. When did owner operators and carriers give all of their power to these freight brokers? When did that
Well,
happen?
I'd say probably, and this would be back more towards your historian guy, but I would say probably after deregulation, because before that there's tariffs and lanes, and it just opened it up to everybody and anybody and everybody, and then everybody starts competing for all this stuff, and that's the problem in trucking, and it's always has been. We're always, it's a bid to the lowest. And that's what everybody tries to find, is who can do it the cheapest, and the brokers do too. And there's plenty of good brokers out there, and you should have and people need to have a relationship with good, honest brokers. And it's kind of stinks for the honest brokers, but unfortunately, there's so many who aren't. I mean, I was leased to a large motor carrier who had broker authority, and when
Mm,
you would call in one of their agents for a load, I mean, the first question is, are you, one of their trucks? Are you leased to them, or are you a broker? And the
mm,
reason is because they weren't going to tell you there's 2 different prices on what that load pays,
mm,
as far as the gross of that load. And, I had a few loads for them that I would call a buddy of mine or something that was in a debt, and I say, hey, call them. He's got a whole bunch of these loads. I remember one time it was Humvees. They were going from Michigan down to Indiana, and they paid like $1,600 a load, which was phenomenal money. It
mm.
was like 250 mile or 300 mile, but they had to move all these Humvees. They were getting sent overseas. So I called a buddy of mine who was up there, and I'm like, "Your call." I said, "See if you can broker one of these, even if they take a little bit. It's still phenomenal." They
Yep.
offered him the load at $700.
And see, and look, and that's the crazy thing, right? And see, look, I believe in Williams right here, right? Okay, so this is someone here that says, is there such a thing as an honest broker? Okay, I mean, honestly, there are good brokers. I have friends that are good brokers. Now, here's the one: stands at transport. I like this right here. Is someone forcing people to take these loads? Look,
No.
100%. We got to stop blaming everything on everybody else. The problem with that is there's a lot of drivers out here, and I'm not here to test anybody. But when I ask you, how much does it cost you to run your truck in your business? And they do not know their cost per mile at all. The education of what that takes is one of the problems. The other one that I'm seeing a lot is, look, we are in a world, in a country of capitalism. If they could get it cheaper, why wouldn't them? Because the shipper wants it cheap. Every truck driver in here, I would guarantee, if you got to ship something out for Christmas to grandma or your uncle or your aunt, you want that UPS, you want that ground, you want the cheapest possible. Well, why wouldn't the shipper want that too, right? So they 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 hire these freight brokers, and this was a great conversation I have with somebody. Not only do they hire these freight brokers because they're trying to find someone to take this cheap, but the second thing is they don't want the liability. They do not want the liability. TQO in the Supreme Court, I saw it on Landline. They're wondering and they're saying what, right? They're thinking about bringing it back up to court is, TQO hired somebody and that carrier crashed or what have you. Now, who's at fault? Is the freight broker have any responsibility in that at all, right? And I thought that was really interesting. But it really doesn't change people until we get more educated. We stop taking cheap freight. And then if you are using these dang freight brokers, they're going to have to go back to their big boss, the shipper, and say, hey, I guess these dumb truckers aren't as dumb as they look and they want more money. And I called every dang trucker out there and they won't take it for that price. You're going to have to give them more money. I mean, so at the end of the day, I'm kind of playing around with this a little bit, Louis. Is it going to take every trucker to pretty much stop taking this cheap freight? Or is that impossible because there's always, they blame foreigners, they blame this, they blame, people without CDLs, legal companies, Chicago companies. I'm just calling out everything that people are talking about, you know.
I'm chuckling because we had this conversation. We have a weekly government affairs call every Monday morning. We call it the lobbyist over in our DC staff and some staff within here. We pretty much had this same conversation about blaming others. And you're right. I mean, OOIDA has been saying for years, ever since I've been a member, we got bumper stickers that we'll give you that say no to cheap freight. I mean, here's the thing. The trucker has all the power, really, over the broker and everybody. You got the power as long as nobody will undercut you. And that's the whole problem. It doesn't seem matter how cheap it is. Somebody will haul it cheaper, which is very frustrating and some of that stuff. But you are correct. If the load doesn't pay enough to where it's worth it, you shouldn't take it. And people shouldn't take it. And you're right. There's too many truckers out here, unfortunately, that don't know their cost of operation. I mean, that's why we started our whole Truck to Success program and do it every year. And that's one of the first segments in Truck to Success is knowing your cost of operation, how to figure your cost of operation. It's very important.
And so, and that's the thing. So do we need to go back to old school? Like if you find out someone's taking a load for less than $2 a mile, you go over there and, you kick them in the shin or something like that. I mean, is that what this needs to become? Right. William,
long time ago, people come in and cut your rates. Yeah, it didn't always work out so well for them. I just say that. But with that all being said, what we really need, probably, if you really want to be honest, this is what I would like to see, is we need more. It needs to be harder to become a trucking company. I mean, it's, you can take what we don't talk about. You can go out on the street, find some guy or gal that's never even been in a truck, send them to a CDL school for a couple weeks, get them a CDL, get them enough money, give them the money for a down payment on a truck and a trailer, and the money to get the $350 for their authority and get some insurance lined up. Within a month and a half, somebody never even drove a truck can have them be their own motor carrier. And that's crazy.
I do have a gripe about that. And I blame the FMCSA for this, right? Right. So when the new head comes in, look, someone said it earlier, and Williams will get to detention. We'll talk a little bit about that because, man, drivers do not fight hard enough for detention, even though it's already in the contract. That's his own BS, right? But someone earlier put in the comments, they're like, why don't you use influencers like myself? And we kind of talk about it here, but hey, we need a OIDA and people like yourself that care about the truck drivers out there. You guys got to help get me in front of these people. I know it's hard because there's a lot of red tape and I'm probably not allowed at a lot of places, but there's got to be something that we got to do because the truckers, I'm sorry, every time at FMC, I'm not saying I'm the guy, okay? But I'm at least one of the guys that, try my best to get this information out. And when FMCSA puts it out, 5 people see it. Right. And so it's just one of those things where we got to really start working together, I think, Louis, on some level of, hey, this is what's going on. Maybe we do like every time you guys come back and report something, we do a segment on the show or something like that. Something where you and I can talk and say, hey, this is what they're talking about. What would you like us to talk about? Because that's important. Because like right here, this was a big one. I went to the carrier broker conference, right? And it was this new conference that they had. They were kind to me. They let me be a part of this, and detention was a thing. William Wilkinson says detention is something that needs to be addressed. Our time is money. Waiting on a clock is frustrating. So I talk to a lot of freight brokers that tell me, Alex, when we have these contracts, we already worked out the detention time with the shipper. So the detention is already in there. So why is it, right, Louis, when a driver is stuck somewhere for 11 hours, he's fighting so hard for detention time. He talks to that broker, and now they talk about it like, are you serious? You know what I mean? And they get all upset and they get all wild and they get pissed at. This is where freight guards really happen. I see it all the time, where brokers are putting freight guards on carriers because they want to leave because they've been waiting for 11 hours. So the detention time.
Why would you not want to leave if you've been waiting for 11 hours and nobody's paying you? And
Exactly.
that's the problem. And there's a lot of these broker carrier agreements, they don't address it. I mean, I Uber's was like you got 4 hours, and after that was all they would pay. There's caps, and a lot of them just don't pay at all. And I understand his frustration. I gave away hundreds of hours of my life driving truck, thousands of hours probably, waiting around steel mills and places like that to be unloaded or loaded because some guy on a dock's on a power trip and just knows he can screw with you and there's nothing you don't do. I've been telling people personally, I mean, this is, what's OOIDA do? Here's an example. I've sat on a lot of DOT and traffic plannings with states. And what they come to me and say is, well, we hear all the time that they don't want trucks, they have trouble getting trucks. Some of our shippers are in their communities and stuff. I said, you ever ask them how long it takes to get a truck loaded? And they kind of look at you like deer in the headlights. And I said, well, one was a steel mill, a town with a steel mill, and I know the steel mill, you sit there forever.
Yeah.
And I said, well, people don't go there because truckers don't want to go there because it takes so damn long to get loaded or unloaded there. So yeah, I'm sure they do have a hard time finding trucks because I wouldn't go there unless it was my last resort because you're not going to get paid. And I said, I bet what you'll find out is the front office don't even know what's going on because all they know is their products getting shipped or getting received. And as long as their products are getting what they need, they don't care. They don't realize what's happening is that truck sitting there for 6 or 7 hours waiting to get loaded and their product gets out and makes deliveries. So that's the kind of stuff you need to be thinking about, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So talk to it. But, I know that there's some rub with some small business guys and maybe they don't completely agree or maybe they don't completely understand. I don't want to put words in people's mouth. But, we got a bill out there. It frustrates me that the brokers won't support it to give truckers overtime, employee truckers, pay them overtime. And because why shouldn't a trucker who works 7 or 8 hours get time and a half after 40? Of course, this was a rule put in the 1930s because back then they didn't have a good way to keep track of time and all that stuff. Well, we got ELDs and all this stuff now, so it's real easy. And I firmly believe if this bill would pass, it'll help everybody in this overtime deal because, like it or not, the big freight companies are the barometer of freight rates and setting the rates and contracts. Whether you want to admit it or not, they got that power. And they don't charge because it doesn't really cost them anything. A driver sits there for 10 hours. He only gets paid by the mile. It ain't costing them anything for the driver to sit around and do nothing. If they have to pay overtime, it's going to start costing them. Then they're either going to go to the shipper and receiver and say, you need to load my trucks pronto, get the trucks in, get the trucks out, or we're going to charge you and you're going to have to pay. It's not going to be, like this. So
I'd
when
say
that
so.
starts happening, that's going to trickle down, and a rising tide raises all boats. That's going to trickle down and help everybody. A small business carrier will have the same ability then to charge for that stuff. The brokers will be able to charge for that stuff, and they'll have to pay it, or you'll just get loaded. I mean, if you're a motor carrier with your own truck and your trailer, when you bid the rate, you have to bid a realistic amount of time. You have to figure that into your rate bid to unload or load the product. But when it goes past that realistic amount of time, then there you go. And you know, for years we've tried to come up with a detention rule, and there's been talk of it, but it's so hard to make a one size fits all when it comes to detention and trucking, because it's so diverse. I mean, what I haul might take 15 minutes to unload, and what you haul might take 3 hours. You know, and what somebody else haul might take 45 seconds to a couple minutes. You know, if it's something you just come in there and flip a switch and dump it and away you go. But unfortunately, you know, we use this arbitrary 2 hours, which that number was just picked up out of the sky.
I
You
was
know,
going
you
to
got to
say,
give.
like, what does that
Why do
even
we have to
mean?
give
Like,
them 2 hours? Yeah, why do you got to give them anything?
that's
You
crazy,
know,
right?
unload my
That's
damn
crazy.
truck.
Someone has a question here, right? This is a good one, right? Tell me what you're hearing at the FMCSA about this, or this is more California, but it says any carb update.
Yeah, there's some lawsuits and stuff, and I think we may see some of that stuff play out, and you know, that hasn't made a big change, but the lawsuits and stuff are coming, so I think we're going to see some changes. I think probably, I'm hoping under the Trump administration, that's one thing, that some of this electric stuff will get slowed down. The only thing that I do find a little concerning is that, you know, Elon Musk is in his ear, and you know, so Elon Musk owns an electric car company that they have autonomous property. So I doubt he's going to be too big on shutting down EVs and autonomy, but maybe at least slow it down to where we know it works, and maybe get it out of the trucking sector. If they want to keep it in the cars, that's one thing, but trucks is a totally different animal.
I got you. I got you. No, you know, Geared Low and Slow says, "Hey, Alex, it's Gilbert. Ask a question. Why are your insurance company carriers brokering their own freight?" So, have you heard that?
I have not heard of an insurance company brokering freight.
You know,
So
you know,
I'm wondering if, you know, so no, I don't know about any insurance, you know, insurance.
I'll have a Gilbert. Maybe Gilbert rewrite that. You know,
Yeah, maybe he's not, or maybe I'm not understanding how he's at the question being asked.
and
But
I'll look for it. I'll look for it.
as far as an insurance, I don't know any insurance company really out there that's, you know, brokering their own freight.
You know, yeah, no. This is good stuff. And all the mother truckers, you know, we're at the live section. We talked about what we wanted to talk about. For anyone that's jumping in right now, go into the beginning. And the beginning is we're talking about the broker transparency, and we're talking about the comment section and what you need to do so that your thing doesn't get kicked out. And we're talking about all these rules and regulations, because if you guys don't know who this man is here right now, this man is the vice president of OOIDA, and they have 150,000 members. And so they're out here fighting for owner operators, and all the drivers out there that are excited about this broker transparency um, um, rule update, I would say, coming through. This is a big part of this, right? And so, Louis, would you say that you get to talk for FMCSA once a month, or how does that operate?
No, probably every couple months. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just depends on what's going on. When things are really crazy and busy, we probably talk to them a lot. I mean, right now it's kind of slow, of course, and then everybody's changing, so we're waiting to see who all the new leadership's going to be.
Mhm.
Very interested to see who the new FMCSA administrator is going to be. I mean, we know Duffy's probably going to run DOT, which, hey, we're happy about that. Duffy actually supported our legislation trying to get rid of the ELD back
Mhm.
before that became law. You know, OIDA, that was the lone folks out there fighting against that. And the whole ELD thing, a lot of people jumped on board after it became a law, but prior to it becoming law, we were the only ones. And we had some legislation in the House, and Duffy supported that. So, you know, we're hoping, I'm not saying he's got a lot of knowledge on trucking, but he has a little, and he showed support for small business truckers and stuff in that. So that makes us feel good. I hope he continues that at DOT.
Mm. we got how much time you got? You got a little bit of time? Like
Yeah,
5 minutes.
yep, I
We're
got
having fun. We have a few hundred. We got like 300 drivers just live at all times. So, this is great for some updates. We'll do more of this, right? So, Mr. Junior Presenta says, we need facts, not just talking. We need to do something now. Whatever it takes. Government only listens to the brokers. This is out of control. So, this is the frustration that a lot of truck drivers have, is that they feel that FMCSA is on the side of the brokers, right? And the side of the big mega carriers, right?
well,
Are you
can
seeing
I
some
say,
truth to that, or what are your thoughts?
well, if they listened to the early brokers, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. I mean, they did just present a ruling that favors trucking, doesn't favor brokering. The ruling says that this stuff has to be electronic and has to be they have to give it to you within 48 hours after you haul a load if you ask for it. Now I will say they didn't make it clear on how they're going to make drivers, or how they're going to enforce this. I think that's something drivers should be putting in their comments, asking that, wanting to clear how they're going to make them follow this. And then the only other thing that concerns us a little, they didn't put anything in there about brokers not being allowed to waive their right. But
Mm,
again, you've got till January 21st. And if we could get, we had 16,000 comments on speed limiters, which is what I firmly believe made that such a toxic thing. They stay away from it. A lot more truckers than brokers. Every trucker out here that cares about this would file a comment and say, hey, how are you going to make brokers do this? How are you going to enforce this rule? You didn't put that in there. I support it, but you need to put enforcement in there, and you need to put it in there that they're not allowed to waive their right from 371.3
mm.
in a broker carrier. Those are the two tweaks that need to be done, and every trucker should be putting that in there with their support. But again, if they only listen to brokers and they only care about brokers, we wouldn't be having this conversation. They would have just denied our petition in the way it would have went, and they deny petitions all the time, all the time.
Gotcha. And you know what? That yeah, drivers are feeling the consensus that even if this does go through, uh, they're just going to ask us to waive it. I mean, so if you can, Louis, I mean, when you get a chance to talk to them, let them know that the carriers, if we can't make it so that they can't waive it, if we were supposed to brainstorm right now, what type of language would need to be in there so that they can't waive it? Is that what you literally just have to say? You guys can't waive this. You got to show the rate con after 48 hours, which of course carriers don't like as it is. They want it on the spot, but we'll take something better than nothing, right? And so, what are your thoughts of what type of language that would really take so that they can't waive it?
Well, I'm not a government lawyer, but I would simply say, yeah, the language just needs to be as simple as you can, or it's not legal, or however you want to say it, to make carriers waive their right to 371.3. I don't understand how it's legal anyway. I don't know how any business can ask another business to waive their right from any federal regulation. I don't know how that's legal in any sense of the word. And maybe there'll be some more clarification on that or something, but there has to be something they could point to. But yeah, I think simply, but again, truckers need to put that in their comments. 100% get that in their comments. And the one thing that popped up there, I don't know, I didn't catch the gentleman's name, but he put up there worried about being blacklisted. And that's a
Mhm.
concern. And that's why we asked that brokers, they had to, in our petition, that they
Mhm.
automatically had to give you this information 48 hours after you deliver it, just automatic. Then everybody got it. What needs to happen if this passes? Then truckers this is another point where we all got to band together as truckers and ask for this stuff. They can't
Mm,
blackball everybody. It's kind of
mm.
like you said, they put everybody on these lists, then they're not going to have anybody haul the freight. And it's kind of the time where once in a while we all got to stand up for each other.
No, that's good. Do you feel that the FMCSA does this? Stavros S says, stop passing out MCs like candy. Only give MC authorities to citizens that have a mortgage. I mean, you see a lot of that, though, right? Like, what are your thoughts about that? I mean,
Well,
does
I don't think it
FMCSA?
should be. We already touched on this earlier. When I said it's way too easy to get in the trucking industry. He is correct. There should be much stricter. There should be much more safeguards put in place. Like I said, you shouldn't be able to go out here and take a person off the street that couldn't even spell truck, and then a month later they're driving in a motor carrier and they can't, and that can really happen and does. But the only thing I disagree is I don't think it should just be U.S. citizens who have a mortgage, because there's probably U.S. citizens out there that don't have a mortgage, but they're citizens and they should still be able to get authority if they know what they're doing.
I hear you.
It's all backwards. The way Fmcsa has authority all straight. You pay the money, you get the insurance, you go out and operate for 12 months to 18 months, and somewhere in that time frame, they come and audit you to see if you know what you're if you know what you're doing, if you're doing things right. They're like assuming that you know what you're doing when you start. And it feels like it's kind of reversed. Like there probably should be maybe some testing or some other requirements to even, I've had truckers, they don't really even know what the big green book is. I've had truckers call here and ask us to help them get a load that they just got their authority and insurance. And what do they do? How do they get a load? And I'm thinking to myself, how do you go out here and buy a truck and get authority and you don't even have any freight lined up or how to know how to get it? But that's the truth. And it's unfortunate, people don't know what they don't know, but that's where it's way too easy to get your authority 100%.
So on both halves of that, right? One is on the carrier side, they make it too easy to get your own authority, right? To get your own authority. Now the other side is, as carriers, a one truck guy or gal, you got to invest at least a few $100,000 to get the job done. At the end of the day, how much does it cost just to start up like a freight brokerage?
Cost of what? I'm sorry. What was the last part?
Freight brokerage.
Like a freight brokerage, you gotta get $75,000 bond, finance, or whatever to get that. And I guess get yourself a telephone and a computer. And nowadays they're not at truck stops. I mean, I remember when all the brokers were generally at truck stops, but nowadays they're pretty much sitting in their living room or kitchen or whatever. A lot of these small brokers, I reckon. Yeah. And
have you guys ever brought up that, thinking that okay, for owner operators, you need to have a little bit more, under your belt. What about these freight brokers, right?
OOIDA. I mean, the only reason we got 75,000 from OOIDA pushing to get that, it used to be, I think it was 10. All they had to have was $10,000 bond. I mean, we'd like to see them have a couple hundred, $500,000. We think that maybe $1 million. That's what truckers have to have $1 million worth of liability. Because the problem, and all the little guys, and I understand they get all upset, and maybe it should be based on the percentage of freight volume. I don't know, but it should be more, because what happens, as is these brokers don't pay or something goes sideways, and then when truckers go to file on these bonds, they get pennies on the dollar, if not or less. Maybe half pennies on the dollar for get their load, because they go out of business. There's only $75,000 out there to grab from. If you're moving, it doesn't take long to move very much freight the way you're well over $75,000 worth of freight you moved.
I hear you. Kenneth Filter says there's a lot that needs to be addressed. Primary is parking, and how about a customer located clean out of our trailers? That'd be nice, right? But the parking, where the heck are we at with parking? Because
OOIDA's got a bill out there, the Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act. It made it all the way through committee. It made it to the House floor this year. It's on the House and Senate side both. The language mirrors $755 million there to be used for parking and free parking too. But with that being said, unfortunately, due to dysfunction in Congress this last term, and I'm changing House speakers like every other day for a while there, it seemed like it never made it across the finish line. But the good thing is, we have OOIDA's done all the legwork and homework, and my staff in DC's done a really good job. We have the bill sponsors all set up for next year, the same folks who brought it to us this year for next year, and we don't really see any hurdles shutting it down. So I feel like we're on the 5-yard line, goal to go, first and goal. So only thing really needs to happen is once this new Congress gets in, is truckers need to continue, start now, but continue to reach out to your lawmakers to support this whole Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act and on both the House and Senate side and get this across the finish line.
No, I hear you. We got Mr. Hunt or Hunky here. Dory says mega carriers lease programs need to be addressed. They are set up for failure. I remember there being some type of thing that FMCSA put together that you could be a part of some task force about this, because some people get screwed. So many people get screwed over these lease operations. It's pretty much they're in the business of throwing away mattresses, if you know what I mean. It's like throwing a mattress, put in a new one, throw away a mattress, and they it's almost like these companies get to the point where they're the way they make money is not even driving the truck. It's getting a guy to not figure out that he can't afford the truck and then have to remake payments. Can you imagine? Like, it's just like you get these carriers get to refi their truck 20 times. You know what I mean? On a $40,000 beat up truck. It's crazy, right?
It's insane. It's just absolutely insane. And there's maybe I maybe know one lease purchase thing off the top of my head that's a fair deal. These are all stacked against you, 99% of them. It's kind of like casinos. They don't get big because of winners, and it's the same way with this lease purchase stuff. You're right. There was a task force. They just had their last meeting a couple weeks ago. Jim Jefferson, who works in my compliance department, said on that. And in fact, at the last meeting, your buddy Todd, Mr. Spencer, he did a little historical piece on that and talked for a little while to the task force. So we'll be waiting on the final report, hoping that the Trump administration continues on with this. But I mean, the stories of these people and their failures just breaks your heart. I mean, it seems like we get 2 or 3 a week, people that come in here. Don't buy this bullshit of walk away lease or you won't owe nothing or any of that stuff. I can't stress enough. If you're thinking about this at all, call here. If you're not a member of OOIDA, call OOIDA, join OOIDA for less than $45 a year is all it costs. If you're already a member, it won't cost you anything. But have us look over this contract for you. Don't sign nothing, because the recruiters and these people, they've got these lines down, and this is nothing but indentured servitude is usually what you're buying into. And I mean, I've seen these leases say that the truck has to be returned in the exact same condition it was when you got it. Okay, when you drove that truck off the lot and went 100 miles, it's not in the same condition. They have to be returned in certain places. They keep all these escrows. There's just so much stuff stacked against you. And if you don't think if you think these are winning propositions, there's a big motor carrier south of my office here in Kansas City, down in the Springfield area. They've made a whole company out of lease purchases. And I was at an event with them not too long ago, and they were talking about their driver training school. This plays in that whole shortage argument too.
Right.
They have a driver training school that they started in 2002. Since 2002 to now, 22 years, they have trained or ran through their driving school over 32,000 new applicants.
That's crazy.
They're a fleet of 8,000 trucks. So in 20 years, they went through 32,000 drivers. That's 4 times their fleet. And that's only the new ones. That's not counting the people that went there to work for them who are experienced. So that's how many people failed. What you're doing when you go to a lease purchase is you're subsidizing the movement of freight for that company, because they're selling you this truck. They're making you buy it, pay the payments, buy the fuel, pay the maintenance, put escrow. And you're right. They don't even need to make money on the freight. They're making money on what you're doing for them. And again, it brings
crazy,
this whole industry down. And another little thing that people, that if you're thinking about this, if you don't listen to what I'm saying, because I'll tell you every day, do not do this. If you don't have money and you don't have credit and you don't have a down payment, don't buy a truck. Okay, it's just that simple. You should not buy a truck. You are not ready.
Oh yeah.
And if you can't manage money, you shouldn't buy a truck. And you got to be honest with yourself. If you can't manage a little bit of money, you ain't going to be able to manage a lot. So you need to think about those things right there. But with all that being said, look and see who the insurance name if there's a loss. I'll guarantee you 99.9% of them, it's the motor carrier. So you can be on a 3-year lease. You can be at 2 years and 11 months. You got 1
Hmm.
month payment to left. And God forbid something happens and that truck gets totaled and you won't get a dime. All that money will go to that motor carrier. So
You
that's
know,
something.
that's crazy. But what I heard you just say here, because I paid for lawyers to do things before. How does that operate? Just so all the listeners here can hear this, right? If you are a part of OIDA and you have a problem reading some type of contract for the company you're going to work for, leasing, all that, you guys have lawyers on retainer. I mean, what does that? What is that? I don't, because I kind of heard what you said right there. Let us read that. So what is that exactly?
Well, you're not going to be talking to a lawyer. You'll be talking to my compliance agents. And my compliance agents, all of them, I think, but one, have a trucking background.
Hmm.
And the rest of them all have a trucking background. They either own trucks, drove trucks, whatever. But they've been trained because there's key things in these contracts to look for. And now I'm not only talking lease purchase contracts. Excuse me. I'm talking leasing to a carrier, broker carrier agreements, any kind of contract like that. Our guys will look at that for you for free if you're a member. It doesn't cost you nothing. They know key things. But the good thing is we do have a couple lawyers here in the house. So if there's something they're not clear on, they can check with a lawyer. We're not here giving you legal advice because that's not what we do. But we can reach out and we're not going to tell you what to do. But if you send us a contract, my guys will look through that contract for you. They will find you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they will explain to you what all that stuff means. It'll be up to you to make that final decision, but there's lots of things in these contracts and key words and phrases that them guys know to look for and understand what they mean that you may not because you drive truck. I mean, I had a truck for almost 25 years. And I've been on the board of directors at OOIDA for 20. When I walked in here, I worked in that compliance department for the first 6 months to a year that I was here. Well, I worked on the phones for about 6 months, and then I managed it for about a year and a half after. Let me tell you what, I was real successful and did a great job in trucking, but there was a lot of that shit I never knew
Yeah,
because
I
I
know.
never had to deal with it or cross it or whatever, and was lucky. Probably some of my stuff was just dumb luck. Nothing bad happened. I knew my cost of operations and stuff like that, but I learned that stuff here, and that's the thing. You're trucking. You're busy making a living, and I tell everybody that compliance department is almost like having your own safety department if you're a member of OOIDA. Because not only will they look at contracts, if you have a regulation rule or something you don't understand, a regulation, you need to file a data queue or anything like that, have questions about pretty much anything in trucking or trucking related. If they don't know the answer, they'll find an expert who does and get you that answer. So like I said, it's like having a back office safety. And for a small business, one truck owner operator, that's invaluable, and that costs you $45 a year if you're a member. And if you say you watch this show and you
Hmm.
call our membership department and tell them you saw me on this show and tell them you can get it for 35, I'll give you a $10 discount for watching this Mutha Trucker show. So
Hey,
all you got to do,
and you better give them a discount because I mean they've been listening to us for what, like almost an hour now. I
well,
mean, so if they got this far to listen to the show, but I'll tell you what,
exactly.
no, that's a good thing. You know, at the
But
end of
you
the
got to
day,
call in to get that. You got to call in, ask for a membership department, and tell them you watch Louie on Mutha Trucker and you want your $10 discount. That's all you
hey,
got
there
to
it
do.
is. Hey, look, I'm all here for the hookup. Hey, I'll tell you guys this: I don't make no money. I don't make no money with OIDA. Okay, so it's one of those things where I have you guys on because you guys have a pulse on the industry, a part that I can't get. They don't. Let's be honest. They don't want to have me in the room ever, right? But they'll have you guys in the room, and that's a great thing, and I appreciate that. So let's leave this with a fun one right here, right? Let's see this right here real quick. Kenneth says, speaking of that, I did some research myself, state of Oregon. My question is, what is the best LLC or sole and steps to get certain things? So we're not lawyers and we're not accountants and CPAs on this. So, any thoughts on this?
Yes, you need to talk to a CPA and an attorney and somebody like that, because again, really it comes down to how much money you make and what you're. What I will tell you is there's this great big rumor of misinformation out there that you hear on the radio, TV, and all over the place. Just because you set up an LLC or something else like that doesn't mean that you're off the hook if something happens. If you're incorporated, you can still be held accountable. So don't think you're getting incorporated. Way I understand the incorporation, that stuff kind of comes down to your tax liability and kind of money. That's the big thing. What you're making. I was a sole proprietor my entire career, and probably should have changed somewhere and went into an LLC or something. Could have saved a little on taxes, but I did not. But again, that's up to each individual person and what you're doing. So you need to take all your information to a person who can better advise you.
No, and
It's a
I
great
appreciate
question,
that.
and I'm glad it was asked, because we get that question a lot, and that's part of our Truck to Success. We talk about that too, but we get that question a lot, and there's all kinds of misinformation about that out there.
And so let's leave this on this question, and the last fun question that every driver has, right? Why does FMCSA not hire someone that has some dang industry experience at all? I want to give you my theory first. My theory, right, is that if you're dumb and you don't know nothing, it is a lot easier for big companies to lobby you and for you to get what you need out of it. And maybe that's not the truth, but like a person like yourself or Todd Spencer, I mean, why are you guys not in the run? Is it because the president just gets to pick who they get to pick and that's what that is? Or why do in every other job, the person with the right experience is usually the one that gets hired, right? So why is it that so at the FMCSA was anyone ever a truck driver?
Nope, there's never been an FMCSA administrator who's been a truck driver, and most of our administrators never knew anything about trucking until they got into position, which is thing. I think some of your assumptions are correct. I don't necessarily think if they don't know anything, they're easier for the big cat. I think it's more maybe they can kick the can down the road longer because these people don't act because they don't really know what to do. Or how it affects, and by the time they've learned it, they've moved on. I mean, that's a real problem. We've had such a turnover in that position for the last 4, 5, 6 years. It's like one gets in there, and it's kind of sad because they come in there, they don't know anything, and as soon as they've about learned their job to where they can start maybe doing something and be effective, they're gone. Somebody else comes in. It's just a revolving door.
Right.
But you're
No,
right.
and so that's what I'm
But
thinking, right?
it is frustrating. I mean, I think it was in 2020, 2021 after Biden. We threw Todd Spencer's hat into the ring and Todd to be FMCSA administrator. And I don't think anybody out there would have been a better one. I mean, Todd was a trucker. He's got the resume, I guess you would say. He
That
was
they
a
would want on all
trucker.
sides.
He's been
Yeah.
working in government and with government on trucking issues for 40 years. He understands DC. He's a known entity. He gets the big picture. So, Todd's a big picture guy and understands it. And, sometimes Todd will come down on stuff that probably isn't always as popular with some as others, or even as popular as it should be, because Todd sees the bigger picture of things. And that's the kind of person that has to be in a role like that, like it or not. But yeah, it would be nice to have somebody in there with some trucking experience, aviation, rail, all these other fields. I don't even know if there's a truck driver that works in the building at DOT or a past trucker, to be perfectly honest. I
Wow.
remember I remember asking him, this has been years ago. FMCSA was out here. My good friend Jack Van Steenberg, who's retired now, Jack was here talking to us in his FMCSA capacity. I'm a trucker and a board member at the time. I'm not working in the office. And I asked that question, how many truckers work at FMCSA? And he's like, we don't have any. And I said, well, why won't you hire truck drivers? I mean, why wouldn't it? It seems like truck drivers, you got cops. Why not
Mm.
truckers? And he told me, well, truckers don't want to live in Washington, D.C. I want that kind of job.
No, I hear you. No, it's one of those things where no, in the comments before we end this, right? Let me know here. Is this a segment that maybe I need to do OIDA at least once a month to get the updates from the FMCSA? Because tell me this, besides you guys out there, is there anyone else that's for truckers? I mean, that I can probably have on the show. I would love to get the head of the FMCSA. I would love to interview them, and just get some information. I think these people need to know who I am at least. Again, it's not that I'm nobody or somebody. It's just that I think there's enough truck drivers that care about the show and the information that we need to at least get some foot in the door. So I don't know. You think you might be able to help me out with some of that kind of stuff?
Hey, I've mentioned to their PR folks a couple times about you. I truly have, my friend. and again, they're just like every other government bureaucracy. They have PR and they have press people, and George is pretty free of lending me out to anybody and everybody. George,
Yeah.
he throws me to wolves all the time, but they're not they're not quite that way with government bureaucrats. So hey, I'd love to get them on your show, and I think they should give you the credit. But I think FMCSA and some of these government folks are still a little scared of podcast influencers, and I'm not trying to be mean or degrade or anything. I'm just saying
No,
I think it's
never.
where it's coming from. But hey, we'll keep working on them.
Yeah, if you get a hookup with like Vance or Trump or something like that, I want to be there, brother. Let me be there. Because look,
Well,
Vance got to talk to you.
I don't have a hookup with Trump. We did have a good working relationship with Vance's office, and we're hoping. I mean, Senator Vance, he supported our parking bill, and stuff. So I mean, he understands it. I was in conversation to get him to support our overtime bill, but we didn't get that finished before all this presidential stuff came up, and got in the way. But yeah, Vance has been friendly to trucking and understands that. He also supported the Drive Act, which was the anti-speed limiter
Yeah.
bill. That again, OIDA. That's what we say for your people out there say we don't do anything.
Oh,
We're the
you're reading
ones
the
fighting back
comments?
against that. Yeah. So
Let me find. Look. Uh, look, we're a driver's channel here, so we're not worried about anything. Mark Stack said this is the one you read, right? He said, OOIDA doesn't address real issues that need to be. They want all the work done for them. So according to
oh,
Mark, get
he's
to work.
right. You know what? You know where he's right? Mark, you're right. I want you to file comments. I want you to have a relationship with your lawmaker and a good open dialogue with your lawmaker. And when there's comments on bills or regulations or whatever, I want you to reach out to the right people and file these comments and hold their feet to the fire and hold them accountable. And you know why I want you to do that? Because OIDA, we charge $45 per member to be a member here. That's hardly anything. And with that, I have lobbyists in D.C. working Capitol Hill all the time. It's very, very expensive to work in Washington, D.C. We have a lean, mean crew. We don't have a big PAC budget. We don't have any of the stuff that the people we're working against have, the people pushing back. And that's the ATA, the safety regs, the big motor carriers. They got money to burn. You know what OIDA has? We have 150,000 dedicated men and women out here that are our members. And if we can get those 150,000 people, the grassroots, to pick up the phone and send comments, we can move mountains in Washington, D.C. And we understand that folks like Mark and others are out here trucking, and they don't have the time, effort, or resources to go do these things. We also understand that individuals, if we're all working for the same goal, we can move mountains. When we're all going different directions, all we do is get ourselves tangled up in knots and pull against each other. So Mark is right on that thing. We do want him to do something, not everything, but surely would love for him to pick up the phone and file some comments and get his other trucking friends to do the same thing, because we're all in this together. And at the end of the day, we just want to make this industry a better industry, a more fair industry, and a good, successful industry. And people enjoy it and love it like I do, like Todd does, and the people around here, and my board of directors and others who drive truck. There ain't another association, national association out here our size. We're the largest, and we were started by truckers in 1973, and we're still run by truckers to this day. I got 22 board members that are all actively driving. We're driving. I was a trucker for 20 some years. Todd was a trucker. It's in our bylaws. You can't even change that. To be a leader or be an exec part of this association, you have to be a trucker.
I love it. No, and I put this stuff on because I think it's cool because you talk to people direct, and I love that because and that's one of our subscribers. It's like this person cares about trucking, and it's frustrating. So I want people to always be able to tell their truth on the show. We got nothing to hide here.
And the problem at OOIDA, and we're bad about this, we've done lots of things over our 51 years of existence. We just ain't been too good about bragging about it, I guess. We go on to the next thing. We go win this battle, we win this fight, and we move on. We don't spend a whole bunch of time, look at me. It's time to go on.
Okay. Then this is a good ending right here. Okay, like it's different now because you're on my show. You're not having to talk about yourself here. But let's talk about for a second. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but are there a few things that wouldn't be here today that truck drivers and carriers do like that would not be here if OOIDA did not put their foot down? Let's go.
Yeah. Fuel surcharges, probably not. That's kind of how we got started. Truth in leasing laws, like all the leasing laws, if you lease to a motor carrier, that kind of stuff's here. Some of these other things, I forget what Todd said the other. We had a membership meeting, millions and millions of dollars that we have returned to truckers through ill-gotten gains by states. The Alabama case, when you're taking money, Tennessee down there was running a racket. We sued them and collected. So there's been all kinds of things. The truck parking, the reason truck parking is even being talked about or being addressed today, and I know we got a long way to go, but the reason is because we talk about it. Lots of stupid rules and regs that out of service, stuff like that, thanks to OOIDA attending CVSA, representing small business truckers and many other things. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, and you caught me off guard. If I knew you were going to ask, I'd have made a list. But
no, we're just having fun. Look,
but 100%, there's all tons and tons of things out there, and what you don't see is the stuff that we've stopped, because we'd had speed limiters a long, long time ago. If it hadn't been for OOIDA, we'd had speed limiters a long time ago. We'd have increased insurance minimums. We'd have tracking devices all over the place in your trucks. I mean, I know the ELD, the only reason ELD, that stuff was talked about for 15 years probably, and we fought it for that long, and we finally got beat. But we held it off that long. We wouldn't have had it to this day if we could have got people a little more ginned up before it happened instead of after it happened. And I think it was truckers just being complacent. It's never going to happen. And it did. But, we took it all the way to the Supreme Court. Minnesota, they were freaking writing truckers, made up this whole phony tiredness by the amount of garbage in your truck, or if you had a Playboy magazine in your truck, or just all this crazy stuff, you might be tired. They're putting truckers out of service right and left for sleep. We sued the state and we won that case. So, there's been lots and lots of victories here. And you can get on our OOIDA.com. Some of that stuff's talked about on there as well. But just getting truckers the information with our magazine and all these and our social media and being on here. So yeah, 100%.
Now you're the right guy, man, because ATA won't let me interview them. You know what I'm talking about? They won't let me. Look, there's no hate to the American Trucker Association. but I can't get a dang guy over there to let me interview them. And I don't know why. I
They,
don't know why.
don't feel bad. They wouldn't debate me either. So
But no, sometimes you come on my show and people beat you up a little bit, and I love it because you can take it, brother. And hey, you think you get beat up? Just imagine when I say something wrong. They beat me the hell up all the time. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
well,
so
you
that's why I
know,
love trucking. That's why I love America. That's
yeah,
that's truly why I love America, because it is freedom of speech. And if you feel a certain type of way, you have the right to feel that
hundred
right to
percent.
feel that way. I love it. I love it. I love all of it. And so yeah, I'd love to have you on the show again. If you got that hookup with Vance, I'm telling you, that would be an epic show. That would make my year. Everybody in the comments, let's pressure Louis on this. Try to get Vance's team to get me an interview with Vance, and then we could ask him the questions, and so that he would know. And we could do it maybe as a collaboration with OOIDA, because I don't want to. I look, the guy might not have the time. Actually, he goes on Theo Vaughn's and podcast that the general American people watch. But when it comes to our industry, I think it'd be cool to maybe house that interview on Mutha Trucker News, but have you and Todd in it too, and we can just go in it and have a conversation. I think that would be pretty awesome.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you because we're friends. I'll get you in line right after I get landline.
Hey, but you know what?
I
You
gotta
guys
take
do
care of
look.
my own nest first.
I got you. You guys, you guys get you first and get me second. But sometimes you guys are able to get the FMCSA head of FMCSA on some stuff. But of course, we all know when it's softball questions, because, like you said, they're so dang PR over there that unless you're going to tell them that you love them, and if everything's not 99.100% positive, they pretty much don't want to be on the interview. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you don't have to say anything, but I've done this long enough to know that.
We all like to do interviews when we're loved.
I
But you're
got that.
right. But again, that's the thing. If you're going to be in a leadership position, just like here, not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to agree with you. I hope that at least people respect the fact that, if we don't agree, we at least respect the fact that here's what I think or what we think, and we can at least agree, disagree, and respect each other for our opinion. you
Mm,
know.
mm,
And I think sometimes we lose that in America. We've lost a
yeah.
little bit. That's went away, and it's a shame. I mean, goodness gracious, look how crazy people got over the presidential election. It's
Mm.
just insanity, some of that stuff. And I think as Americans, we need to get back to that. It's okay to disagree, but let's respect each other, and you know, in that disagreement, even FMCSA. You know,
Well, and
let
that's the thing, right? I mean, you and I are friends, but it is kind of hard to jump on my show and get beat up,
so
because the drivers, they're unhappy, they're upset. You're
again,
upset. Oh, IDA
the
is
tough.
upset. I'm upset. Everybody's upset, but it's like, what do you do, right? And it's just this nail of a run.
I'll tell you what you do. You go on fightingfortruckers.com. You
Let's
file
wait.
your
Let me go to
comments.
it. Let me go to it. I mean, you and your plugs. I'm telling you what, guys. You know what?
But,
And that's
but
okay
this is
because I
truthfully
support
what
this
you
one.
do. You go on Fighting for Truckers and you send a comment to a lawmaker or to FMCSA, wherever whatever it is where it needs to go. You can do that faster once you after the first time because it'll remember your information if you tell it to. You
Mm,
can do that faster than you can go on social media and post bitching about things or bitch at me and you about it or whatever. And I mean, I appreciate the questions on it, but go do that too, because you know what? We can talk about it. You put it out on social media, nothing's ever going to happen. But when you
mm.
start sending it to lawmakers and FMCSA, there's a chance that I'm not going to say it will, but there's at least an opportunity that something can change.
Well, and I'll tell you guys this, please. I always try my best not to set you the wrong direction. Right, right here. Click on this bad boy, and to the right of it, comment down. That's gonna go straight to the FMCSA, and that's gonna if you're not happy about what's going on in the industry right now, and you want some transparency, some of what you just of that rate con, then guess what? email, comment, go on here, and then after that, then you can curse up about how unfair FMCSA and the trucking industry is. But first, you gotta almost vote. You know what I mean? So that's
Exactly. It's just like voting. If you don't go in and make a file comment and you're mad about this, you don't go file a comment and you don't really have any reason to complain. You
that's right.
know? And like I said, there's additional resource on there. If you got questions, there's a little guide on kind of how to comment or to kind of give you some ideas and stuff. But you're 100% correct. That's well said. If you got a problem and if you don't find no comments, do you really have a right to complain?
Mm, no, I think this is a great show. This I haven't done a live like this in a long time. We usually just kind of post in. It's great to just see everybody. So all you mother truckers out there, this is kind of like a pilot episode of having fun. Should we have Louis back on the show? And I think we need to do this every time you go out to FMCSA or Department of Transportation, and there's something out there. You are the first person to hear it. And I appreciate that you respect the drivers enough to rock with me in that way. And I really do respect and love you for that, because you see there's something here with this, and you know that the drivers they they're hurting right now. And so I really
100%.
appreciate
I've
it.
been hurting for 2 years. I mean, this is the longest freight down cycle ever. I mean, I
Mm,
remember how bad it was in 2007, 8, or 2008, and that. And this is way longer and just continues to drag. So, and thanks. You'll do your part and send my comments. Thank you. I see that comment pop up there. But
yeah,
but good for you. But but like I said, they are hurting, and I know people are frustrated, and it's hard to just keep getting. I mean, trucking's a loveless career anyway, because everybody's mad at you. The shipper's mad at you. Where you deliver gets mad at you. The broker, the cop, whatever. It just seems like nobody's happy to see you. I hope that if you've called in here, you've had a better with OOIDA, because we love truckers. We love you every day. That's what we say. We don't have a National Trucker Appreciation Week. We have a National Trucker Appreciation Year, because we appreciate truckers and what they're going through, and we understand it. I understand it myself. I lived it. I get it.
yeah. No, I
And I
appreciate it.
can't imagine where this world would be or where this country would be if we didn't have the great men and women that we do driving truck. And it's just frustrating to me. It's frustrating to talk to these lawmakers. Trust me, you think you're frustrated, it gets frustrating me to go to Capitol Hill, talk to 20 some lawmakers in 2 or 3 days, meeting after meeting after meeting over the same stuff, to hear the same, we're going to get this, we're going to fix this, blah, 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 blah. And then they get wrapped up in partisan politic bullshit, and nothing gets done,
Mm,
you
mm,
know. So I get your frustration, understand your frustrations, but we continue to fight. I ask you to continue to fight and continue to support us. And mainly, I want to say Merry Christmas to all you truckers. We know you're the real Santa Claus.
that's
We
right.
know you're driving the real Rudolph and pulling the real sleigh. And thanks to all the truckers out there. And let's hope that 2025 is going to be a much better year for trucking, and to get things reversed, this course reversed and back on top. But on behalf of myself and everyone here at OOIDA, Merry Christmas, truckers, and thank you for what you all do.
No, that's excellent. I love you as a friend. And when anyone ever says anything, I always tell them the truth that I do support you, and the reason why I support you is because you guys show me that you support me in taking time out of your time to be on this show to help out these drivers, and I am grateful. And when a truck driver is kind of punching you a little bit, you smirk a little bit, but but just know that if you are for truck drivers, then these truck drivers love you, because in the comments when they beat me up and they go, Alex, you're a fool, you're a dummy, your production, everything about you just sucks. You know what? It's okay, because I know in my heart that I do care about this industry, right? And look at that. I think that's okay. We'll do a
That's a
feel
cool
good. This is
friend.
some PR for you right
Thank
here.
you,
Look,
Christopher, Matthew, Boyd. Appreciate it.
yeah, look, Starvos. Okay, look, before we we've been beating up
Although
Louis
I'm
all
not
day.
sure about that Alabama Crimson Elephant thing he's got on there, but that's okay. I'm an Ohio State Buckeyes guy, as you can see right there.
Look, we're trying to end this positive, and you just keep on beating up my subscribers. Hey guys, look, regardless if you agree with OOIDA or you don't agree with OOIDA, would you definitely give a heart to OOIDA, emoji or a thumbs up or something positive like a unicorn, anything? I don't care. Something positive, an emoji that we appreciate OOIDA for bringing up broker transparency and bringing that back in. You know what I mean? So definitely all these emojis, man. You know, either you love them or you hate OOIDA. You got to give them their props for bringing that. Oh, look, Aaron's giving the star emoji.
There you go.
There it is. And I hope these
He's
drivers
the
aren't
real
driving.
star. Aaron's the real star because he's out there working real hard and pushing
That's
that
right.
truck and dealing. So he's the real star. But thank you.
Yeah, look at that,
So,
man. Look, everybody's being look at this. Look, this is the way
great
things are.
people, buddy. Hey, truckers are great. I mean, they speak their mind. It's a business of people who don't want to answer to the man. So you got a lot of independent people, and I'm an independent-minded person, so well, I respect that.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Fantastic.
That's what I'm talking about, guys. So,
That's it. Let's
so
go
at the
into
end,
2025 with a good attitude like that.
yeah. So at the end, folks, so that you guys can see if you guys are jumping on this now, I support this right here. Okay, guys. So go on fightingfortruckers.com. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys this one last time so that you guys can kind of see this. Go to this website right here, right? Fightingfortruckers.com. If there's something in here that OOIDA is fighting for, and you truly believe the same as well, like stop speed limiters and broker transparency, you click into the right, you put in what you feel, and you give an example of why it hurt your business or whatnot. And at the end of it, it gets submitted right to the Fmcsa so that there's no confusion there. So I really do want to support that, right?
And I want to add it's smartphone compatible. You can get right on your smartphone because I know for truckers, a lot of people aren't using computers and laptops, and I get that. I mean, but that's one thing we always make sure you can get on your smartphone, pick up your phone, you can do it right there on your cell phone. It's just as easy to do it on there. It's easy. It's not all walker job or anything like that. So you can use it while you're sitting around the loading dock, not getting paid. You can at least do this.
Gotcha. No, that's good. And I'm reading these comments. My man here, you email me at muthatruckernews@gmail.com. I'll do my best to get to it. But every time I jump on these lives, I'm seeing this, and my man wants to get my attention. I see you. So email me at muthatruckernews@gmail.com, and we'll see what we can talk about, or put your comments down below. But yeah, no.
And also, don't forget, if you go to OOIDA.com.
Wait, let me show you some love here. What up?
Thank you for your
Whoa.
membership, Paul.
Stop talking. Let me find the website. Look, I'll tell you this. This is not a sponsored video. I don't care if you guys jump on and do anything, but give me a second and I gotta show you some love the right way for you giving over an hour of your time. Okay. Let me go to this.
But who's counting?
Oh, you're discount. Oh my God. No, I'm not discounting. Okay, let me see. So I'm telling you guys this right now.
This either.
Yeah.
Attention.
Hour and a half. Louis, the vice president. OOIDA could have been anywhere.
No, it's my pleasure. I'll be on here all day. I love talking to you, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on my Mutha Trucker hat, though. I keep thinking it'll show up one of these days.
Oh, you better stop.
I'm a hat guy.
You better stop. Look, so I'm showing the love, okay? And the reason why I'm showing the love is because take the time to be on the show. And so I just want to show some love. So, okay. Now give your spiel to the drivers. Go ahead.
Don't forget, OOIDA.com. You'll find our phone number on there, 816-229-5791. If you call in, ask for our membership. if you're renewing or becoming a new member, whatever, just ask for the membership department. Tell them that you saw me on Mutha Trucker, and they'll knock $10 off your bill. It only costs you $35 for the year. So easy peasy.
You know, we didn't even talk about you giving some discounts, so that was pretty cool. Thank you for doing that. You know, and
My
if you guys
pleasure.
missed if you guys missed the show, there's some they got a compliance department that can look over contracts, and you can almost use them as your own compliance safety department about some of these things. So that might be worth it in its
We,
own right, because
we
I
also
like
got
saving time.
We got a great fuel card program. I'd say it's one of the best in the industry, if not the best. We also have a brand new tire program we just launched. I mean, there you save $50, $100 per tire. Not only do you save money on your tractor trailer, but if you're a company driver, because we represent you as well, you can also buy car tires. Now, I don't know exactly how much the savings is on car tires, but there's a savings for car tires as well on there. Your national tires, your national brands. Like I said, we got a fuel card. There's all kinds of other discount programs and stuff as well, plus many other services we can provide you here at OOIDA. A lot are free. We do have some pay for services like drug testing, sorting, permittings, life and health, truck insurance, some different stuff like that. But it's all stuff founded out of need for truckers. So again, love to have 250,000 members. So, each and one of you, love y'all, and you're all important to us. So, come check us out on OOIDA.com. Again, the number's there. Ask for membership, tell me you saw me. And also go to fightingfortruckers.com and file your comments. Thank you.
So hopefully you felt respected. I gave you your time,
I always feel respected, brother. I love this show.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Because I always kind of feel bad when you get beat up, but I just want you to feel better to know that I get beat up too.
I'm a hillbilly from Appalachia. I've been getting beat up my whole life.
Well, no, thank you. Hopefully, all the Mutha Truckers out there, either you agree or disagree what we're talking about. I hope you at least think that we're fair on this show. I try to be fair. Am I more sided with the owner operators, truck drivers versus the freight brokers and the companies? Of course, because we do advocate for the truck drivers, and and that's why I do respect about what you do, and I appreciate that as well, Louis. So yeah, at the end of this, I think this was a really good show. Anytime you do something really cool, you go to DOT, they got something going on, something new, whatever's out there, you're always welcome on the show. So we'll have you more on, sir.
I appreciate it, buddy. I'm sure George will be in touch. Thank you, my friend. And you have a good Christmas yourself, buddy.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas. And you guys, I love you guys so much. Look at that right there. Thanks, Louis. That's what I'm talking about. We'll end it on a good note.
Thanks for what you do, Miguel.
Yeah. And then